Hi, I'm Janine Jarman, owner of Hairroin Salon, Los Angeles and New York. My passions. I am passionate about creativity and business living together. I, am a hairdresser through and through, and I love hair. And I love how in the 10 years of me owning a salon, 15 years doing hair, that I've learned to be better at business and how those two worlds can actually live together in harmony. And my favorite part is teaching that to my stylists at Hairroin and other stylists and salon owners, and sharing that and coming up with philosophies and strategies that really make those two worlds live together so you can do your creativity more effectively when business is present. For me, making the leap from behind the chair to in front of it, it was like my second day in beauty school when they're like, what salon do you want to work at? What do you want to do? I right away was like, I want to own a salon before I'm 25. That was an objective for me. I'm raised by entrepreneurs, so that was just kind of in my DNA of how I was born. I only knew owning a business and the responsibility and joy that came with that. I love biting off more than I can chew, so I'm a natural business owner. But yeah, at 24, I opened my first salon in LA. I was working at a salon. I had just moved there from Orange County, and it had gone under, and I had been saving, thank goodness, used my savings and took over the salon, renamed it, rebranded it, and 10 years later, that's Hairroin Salon. We opened 2 years ago in New York. So yeah, I am notorious for doing things when most would say no. Like at 24, opening a salon, just moving to LA, I had no stylist working there either, just one friend named Irene. And then opening New York, I was 6 months pregnant when I was like, signed away, yeah, let's do this. I think I approved my blueprint in labor, like on a BlackBerry, which that makes it even more embarrassing because it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, I think it's good to like put your tush to a fire, and it makes you have no other choice but to do it. So yeah, I like jumping in feet first often. That's kind of my philosophy, and I lead by example. I think it's really important. So when I ask stylists, we meet quarterly with our stylists and have really track their growth and push them to be a career-centered hairstylist. I know they say money doesn't bring happiness, but it definitely makes it easier to go on vacation and be happy. So I want earning money to be the easy part of coming to work at Hairroin, so that my stylists can afford to go on vacations, not work till they're 70 years old. Those are things that are really important to me, and I realized that it's not just in my salon environment, but it's important to me for our entire industry to push that message forward. So yeah, that's probably a big objective of mine, is to be like, all right, how do we debunk this like philosophy that's like, oh, hairdressers, they don't save, they don't do, and I'm like, no, contraire. I have people that put into a Roth IRA every paycheck, and have health insurance, and we're working as a company to offer things like that and make it easier, make it more seamless. As far as branding goes, my salon's called Hairroin. We have very distinct logoing. It's one of those things, I think, a good friend of mine came up with the name. It was, I took the salon over, and the next day I had to have a name. And she was like, all right, I have a name for you, but you have to promise to name it this. And she told me it, and I was mortified. I'm like, Hairroin, it's too edgy. Like, people are going to hate it. And it was that realization early on that it was like, okay, I'm in LA where there's not a lack of salons. I'm young, probably the youngest person working at my salon, and I have to decide now, like, I will be edgy enough to just make it work and be good enough to defend that name. And that was what Hairroin did for me. It was like, hate it or love it, you remember it. There's never a time that I've handed my business card to someone and they're like, oh, thanks. No one's ever done that. They're like, whoa, is this a toe tag? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wait, is it hair? I'm like, it's how you're afraid that it is. Yes, it's Hairroin. And we mean it, and I'm a firm believer that once you find your stylist that you love, you become addicted, and we are your beauty drug. So in Hairroin. You know, not that everyone needs to be edgy and like go there. And it's funny, like our clientele isn't necessarily that edgy. It's just that choice for us to be like a big point of difference. That was more around the idea around our branding. But I think when picking branding, it's great. It establishes this consistency and this association, as well as seeking out your ideal clientele. You know, too often are we in the frame of mind that's like, we need every client. Going after every client is not realistic, and that's exhausting and not a smooth path to like keep getting those clients back. So really focus on where's your salon? Where do you want your salon to be? What are the stylists that are available to you that are working in your salon? What's the business around you? Like, so do your homework and establish what your salon is in your community and where you want it to be. And then build a color palette around that, branding around that, and what's true to you? What do you want to stand for? What do you want your name to be associated with? And that goes into your like color palette story too. Like what there's so many like color meanings that I'm obsessed with, that it's like, you know, go into that, like have an adventure with it and really build out a brand that is true to you, that when people are like, oh, you know, why'd you paint your salon this color? That you know why, that you know that light green evokes calmness and serenity and those kind of things, that there's a reason behind each and every decision that you make, to painting your walls, to, you know, the font that you choose, things like that. Black and white is our palette, and I'm a black and white thinker. I love black and white stripes. It's classic, it's vintage, it's modern, it really is that hybrid. And it was important that we picked something that was true to me. The logo that we have is it's right here, is our skeleton cameo. I love cameos. My grandma gave me my first cameo when I was a kid, so it was a really true thing that I loved and I associated with like classy ladies. So, you know, we punk rocked it up a bit because I also am a diehard, deep down punk rocker. So yeah, it's this hybrid that is close to my heart, and when something's close to your heart, that's what you fight for. So yeah, that's find a brand story that is authentically yours and makes sense for who you are, where you're at, and where you want to be. I do a weekly Periscope called Shop Talk on Sundays at 10:30. It's where creativity and business come together. I talk about salon stuff, but I also talk about just owning a creative business and mentors in my life that also are creative business women, and you know, we do all sorts of things and dive into those. So I'm always looking for topics of like what you want to discuss, and please join me and ask me hard pressing questions. It's a place where we can come together once a week and like really grow and expand by sticking together and like be like, okay, I tried this, we'll maybe try this. We did this before. All right, cool, that worked. So we have that. We have Louis, our artistic director in New York, is going to be doing a weekly podcast of hairstylists through the ages. Oh, he's incredible. And not just women, he's going to also do men. Of course, he's also a barber, you know, licensed in multiple states. He's like freak of nature, amazing. We have a blog where we post tons of stuff on a weekly basis. Our Instagram, we have New York and LA, as well as a Hairroin brand Instagram where we show links to our classes, our promos, things like that. The Hairroin and LA ones are more in-salon inspiration. With Twitter, social media has been such a exciting way for us to get knowledge out there and to get inspired and hopefully, you know, inspire as well as spread the word of things that we're doing. It's been so impactful. It's been really instrumental into getting, when we've had open calls, we do a monthly open call at our salon so we can get to know stylist, assistant, receptionists that want to work at Hairroin. Even if we're not necessarily hiring right then, it's a good way for us to get to know them. And Instagram's been such an impactful way for us to get the word out there.